All right, guys, this is another incredible episode of the Deal Finders podcast. You are not going to want to miss. We're going to talk to an awesome dude, young guy in the business, went from being an engineer, trained in college, and said nope, and went to the ministry down in Brazil where he had no money, came back to Texas with even less money, and started trying to find deals the hard way. You don't want to miss how he got his first deal and what kind of check that was that changed his life and changed the trajectory of where his business is now and the life he's got and the freedom he's been able to create. I'm so excited. I keep going on and on. I'm going to give it all away. So just listen to the podcast and then you'll get it. All right? We'll see you there. All right. We are going to get into another podcast for the Deal Finders podcast right here with Jarrod Frankum. Hey, Jarrod, tell everybody real quick kind of where you're from, where you are now, and how you got started in real estate.
Yep, I'm originally from Mesquite, Texas, which is a suburb of Dallas. Now I live in Lubbock, Texas, which is out in the middle of the desert in West Texas. That's kind of the side of Texas that gets forgotten. Came here for college, and long story short, I ended up staying. I've moved around a few times since then, but I like it here, and I've kind of got my feet underneath me and figured out the real estate market here.
Yeah. Where you said West Texas? What college is that? What just
Texas Tech here in Lubbock.
Okay, Texas Tech. All right. So as you can tell, I'm from the South, and college football is what's important. So that's all I really know of Texas is all right. Which team is around there? And then, now I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, Patrick Mahomes went here.
Yeah,
so,
oh, that's true. Hey man, you can ride on that one for a little while.
Yeah.
So you went to college there. So how in the world did you end up in real estate?
Yeah, so I remember even when I was a kid, I'm 31 now, but I remember even as a little kid watching just TV when it would be on and they would have like these home and garden shows. And they weren't like they are now. They were like how to decorate your garden or how to like make your... It was more like how-to stuff and real simple, basic shows. But I remember thinking, man, houses are so cool. I would love to do something with that at some point in the future. Fast forward, I got a degree in mechanical engineering. I love cars and gears and stuff like that. And my dad's a mechanic. And so he's really good at that kind of thing. And I thought, man, I like doing that sort of stuff. So, but I had an internship as a mechanical engineer doing CAD drawings, computer-aided design drawings for commercial HVAC systems. I mean, as boring as it could possibly be. Yeah. In my little cubicle, and I was just trying to find something to listen to while I was working. You're in an office by yourself. You don't really have to talk to anybody, just be an engineer. And I stumbled across some podcasts about some stories and crime things. And I thought, well, I've kind of had some interest in real estate. Why not just like see if I can find something?
Yeah.
I don't know how, but I stumbled on this free audio book of Rich Dad, Poor Dad. This was in 2015. And I thought, hey, it's only a couple hours, I could listen to it. And I kid you not, listening to that book absolutely broke my brain chemistry. I remember standing up at my desk. I had one semester left of college. I remember listening to that book, standing up at my desk, and my whole torso was covered in goosebumps. Wow. Like, oh, I have got to get out. I'm not doing engineering. I had one semester left. I graduated, and then ended up I had an opportunity to go to Bible school shortly after for 2 years, and so I did that. And then did campus ministry in Brazil, of all places, long story short, for about a year. And then did that, and then I came back to Lubbock to continue doing campus ministry. But the entire time, I was fascinated with this idea of real estate. And I kept buying books from time to time, and I would just read through them. And, Gary Keller's Millionaire Real Estate Investor, that really caught my eye, and a handful of others. And so I just kind of stayed aware of the power of investing in real estate. And of course, college kid, didn't have no money. When I lived in Brazil, I was only earning $500 a month total to my name. I sold everything, and that was all I had when I was doing ministry out there.
Wow.
And but I still had my books, and I just was excited to read those, and I would get a book here and there and read it, and just that was my thing. I'd underline it and write in the margins, and really just absorbing what I could. And then when I moved back to Texas in 2019, I decided, well, Jarrod, you've been spending years and years reading about it. Why don't you go try it?
Wow. Do it.
And I didn't even know who or what in 2018, 2019. There was far less information. I mean, there was plenty, but far less than there is now about getting started.
Yeah.
And I had no clue what to do. Well, I thought, well, if I want to get started, why not just like drive around and look at the houses and just kind of see what's out there? Mm-hmm. And then I had, in fact, it's this right here. I had this, literally, I just bought one of these for like 50 cents. This is the one.
Yeah.
And I just wrote down addresses, like just line by line addresses. This is my actual work of houses that looked like, man, those need some work. Maybe these people would want something, maybe they'll, I don't know. And I just started writing them down and kind of created this list of a couple hundred houses, just driving around, just looking for
Yeah.
Just, I don't know. I figured if I want to know the market, I should know the market. So just start looking. Mm-hmm. And I guess I had kind of heard that you could write letters. And so I hand wrote letters to each of these homeowners. I went to the tax website and just looked up the house address, the owner, wrote their mailing address, and wrote them a little letter. Hey, I love your house. Real basic. Hey, I love your house. We can help with this. I had heard people doing that. I didn't have any money. Had no clue how it was going to work. But maybe if someone would call me off of a letter, maybe it'll work.
Yeah.
And I thought, man, go try it, dude. Just figure it out.
Just try.
And so I did that. I just started handwriting letters. I went and bought stamps. And at that stage, and come back from Brazil, I didn't have any money at all.
Yeah.
None. I figured out how to eat chicken, broccoli, and brown rice twice a day, and a cup of oatmeal for breakfast and water.
Wow.
Eating on, I budgeted myself $25 a week to eat, so that way I could save some money to buy stamps and envelopes. And started writing letters and thought, man, let's just give it a shot. At least it's worth to try it. And I remember someone called me off of a postcard, and I went like ghost white and just like, what? I don't even know what to say. I totally blew the conversation. I don't even remember how it was, but just couldn't believe someone called me.
Yep.
Ended up not being a deal. But at least someone called me. I just put my phone number on a postcard and sent it. And we talked about the house and just, I didn't even know what to do, but they called me. And I was just so excited about that. So that's how I guess I kind of got started.
That's an incredible journey that you went on. And there's a lot there that I think there's people probably listening to this that can resonate with, because I did. Y'all, and we talk, our podcast has a lot of beginners, but also some people that have been doing this for a while. But it's that story for the beginner that's like, you just took action and you did it without knowing really where you were going. But what really I resonated with was when you're in college, and I know there's plenty of people listening to this, they're like, what am I going to do? Maybe they're in college or out of college. Maybe they're in a career and they're at that point. It's like, if they listen to Rich Dad Poor Dad, or maybe they have, and they're like, they know inside themselves that's them, that he is talking right to them. But it's a scary moment. Like you were almost done with college, one semester left. What happened to me is I was in college second year in, and I was in business school, and I was doing econ class and accounting class, and I was like, I cannot be a CPA or an accountant or economist. I can't sit at a desk and do these numbers and do this stuff. Like, I just saw my future and it was not there. So I moved over to hospitality, and because I thought, well, I can get up, I can move around, and that entrepreneur bug was there. And so what I was looking at is like franchise, quick service restaurants and that sort of thing. So that's kind of where I was going, thinking buying a business. And then I fell into real estate right after college. Bought my first house right out of college. But you had that bug. There's something about real estate and that entrepreneurship bug that people that are listening to this podcast, they probably feel it, but they're in that stage of like, I don't know what to do. I don't know what it looks like when I make that change or make that decision because it's scary, right? I mean, it's scary, but I mean, you did go to, ministry for a while, which is amazing down in Brazil. But you came back and decided to take action. You started driving around. Part of the Deal Finders Club, this is what we talk about in our group is those deals are right there around you. You have a full notebook full of potential deals that were just sitting there waiting for somebody to call on, right?
Yeah.
And that's what it takes. With no money, y'all, with no money, you can go out and find a deal today if you just take action. Just go out there and move. So did you get a deal? I need to know. Did you get a deal from that book?
Yeah, I got several deals in this book actually. In fact, I'll just pull the page up, but my first deal, it took me like 3.5 months or so to get it, of doing this every week, sending out money on a postcard. And even to the point where I had budgeted how much gas I could spend. Yeah. And when the price fluctuated, I had to drive less. So, but I knew I wanted to go look for these houses. So I would kind of figure out, I would drive my car to like the stopping point in the neighborhood, and I had a skateboard in the back. And I would get out and ride my skateboard up and down, and then cut back over, get in my car and drive some more, and then skate up and down the streets. Because I couldn't afford just to drive the entire time. But I like riding a skateboard, so I did that and kicked around on my skateboard.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely. You're such an engineer, budgeting down to how much gas you get in. But that's what you got to do,
Well, in ministry, I made less than if I were to flip burgers at McDonald's. I kid you not. It was truly a labor of love, and I wanted to do that. But of course, I had aspirations. I wanted to own stuff. I wanted to do something, and I hated feeling so restricted. Yeah. And I had always heard that real estate's the financial freedom and all these kind of fun words. And I've got to have a piece of that. I got to figure it out. I don't know, no clue what I'm doing, but at least try, do something, and I'm not going to do anything. Nothing will change just learning about it and sit on the couch and not taking any action. In fact, here's a deal. I circled it, deal, right there.
Nice.
But yeah, I just would write notes about the house or write the address and whatever in the book. And I didn't even have a CRM, a customer relationship manager. Just I had a little notebook with my little houses.
Yeah. So we teach people and preach starting, real low budget, real low cost because you don't want to spend your money on all these shiny things, all these tools and things. And there's plenty of things that will help you online and apps and whatnot. But so the CRM, we recommend less annoying VIP is the one that goes to our CRM. It's set up just like we started with, and it's like $20 a month, right? But when you're budgeting down to the gallon, like you can't afford that, and that's why this business is amazing because, yes, it took you 3 months, right? That seems like a lot of work for some people to go 3 months and get no deal, but you were getting feedback the whole way, you were learning the whole way, and you were doing it the hard way, right? If you have the money, you pay for marketing and you shrink that 3-month time window, right? Because now we do 8, 9, 10 in a month, right? But in the beginning, when there's no money for marketing and you're handwriting everything, you're talking to fewer people, you can't get your message out as much. So yes, it takes longer, but what happens on that first deal? Do you remember how much you were able to bring in on that first deal?
Yes. So I remember every time I'd go to the post office and drop this little stack of letters, it was a stack this high. I remember it feeling like I was throwing money in the trash can. Yeah. Because I just kissed these letters goodbye, and then 2 or 3 days would go by and no one would call me or nothing. I'm like, golly, I'm just wasting this money. Yeah. But I remember... Wildly enough, I remember I was in church one day, and then my phone buzzed, and I saw someone emailed me. I also put my email. Someone emailed me and said, "Hey, would you come look at this house?" And long story short on that, but I ended up doing the deal. We had to renegotiate it, and it was kind of a long, drawn-out thing. Yeah. And I made $9,550 on my first deal. And to that point in my life, I'd never had more than $2,000 to my name ever.
Wow.
Ever.
Yeah. holy cow, $9,000, over $9,000.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, like you just said, that was probably as much as your take home pay for the year after taxes and all that kind of stuff, right?
Yeah, I
That's
think
a huge chunk.
yeah, I think for the year I would earn somewhere in the like around 20K plus or
Yeah.
minus a little bit. I don't remember exactly back then, but it was nothing.
Yeah. That's a
And I made
huge
half
chunk. I
my
mean,
salary in one check.
right. And you also had, residual. You had all those postcards or letters still out there, as things still churning, right? It's not the end of the game. And so you have a whole notebook that probably created more deals and more
Yep.
deals, right? So
I
I
just got a
love that.
call like 2 weeks ago from a postcard I sent out almost 4 years ago. This
Yeah.
dude saved it on the refrigerator. Why? I don't know. I've been in houses on appointments and I see sellers will have a stack of postcards, and they just happen to call mine. Like mine came in, and they just pulled mine off the top pile, and I was going to be the guy.
Yeah. You can get lucky that way, right? Well,
Yeah.
the first letter I ever wrote, this is, gosh, I don't even know. This is maybe 2009 or 10 or something like that. It was a long time ago. There was no YouTube channels or podcasts to tell you about this stuff. And the house across the street from the one I bought straight out of college, the grass grew tall. It was an older guy there. So I was like, ooh, I bet that guy passed away, right? I was renting my house, so I wasn't there all the time. And so I did the same thing. Went to the tax record, just found out who now owns it, and sent a letter. Said, hey, I've had the house across the street. I'd love to buy this one. And the guy, same thing. I think he had it on his fridge for maybe a year, maybe just shy of a year. Calls out of the blue. I never sent him anything else. I was not, the active investor that I am now. It was just on a whim, really. And he calls. He's like, "Yeah, I've cleaned the house out. I'm tired of it. I don't want to do it anymore. Come buy it. Come take a look, and will you buy it?" And it works, right? It's not always instant. But when you continue to put those letters out there on a consistent basis, that's where your deals come from. And guys, if you are in this position trying to get started, trying to figure that out, go to dealfindersclub.com. We have some resources there. We actually have a sample letter that that you can grab and just copy and paste, whatever, just copy the letter. So you can send out your own. It's the way. If you don't have any funds to get going, then just do something. Take some action. So that was $9K. That was a few years ago. Jarrod, where are you now? Like, what's your business look like? Are you still wholesaling? What else?
Yeah, so I am wholesaling, and where you put property under contract and then basically sell your rights to that contract to someone else. I still do that to this day, but now I've even switched over. Now I own multiple houses. I think we're at 12 now.
Nice.
The house I'm living in right now got a screaming deal. I bought it for $19,000, and it's worth $205,000. I had to put $75,000 into it. It was a nightmare, but
Yeah.
it's crazy how exponential and how quick you can build something. Now we're doing flips. I'm actually about to put a house that caught on fire under contract once we get done with this call. But things are churning. I've got an acquisitions guy now who's working for me, and the business is like running itself. It's so awesome.
Yeah.
And there's so many deals. I used to think, well, what happens when all the busted up houses get fixed and there's nothing else? Well, I'm an engineer. There's a thing called entropy, and that's where everything is always falling towards a state of chaos, right? If you drop a stack of pencils, it scatters and spreads, and it takes work to put it back together. So every house, everything's undergoing entropy, but every house, there's sun, damage, wind, hail, drunk driver could smash into it, bad tenants, divorce happens, you get a job somewhere else. There's always all these sorts of reasons why a house will fall into disrepair, or the situation there's not time to really put it on the market and sell it and all this and that, and someone needs a faster solution. Yeah. And so what I love about real estate is it's not like going to mine gold out of the mountain. Well, there's only so much gold, and once it's gone forever. It's like, so just get in there as fast as you can. But actually, it's like mining gold out of the mountain. The mountain gets bigger, and then there's more gold being pumped in all the time.
Yeah.
Right? The same houses that get fixed up now, fresh remodel 10, 15 years from now, it's going to need some more love again. Mm-hmm. So really, it's like all the houses that are around, And this is just residential. There's commercial, there's land, there's all sorts of stuff, right? But even the same stuff now will continue to need love. So it's limitless. There's no shortage of deals. There's other guys in my market, and we don't even intersect on deals. Very rarely do I run across someone else that, that they're doing a deal in my pipeline and vice versa. It just seems like there's so much opportunity even now. And Andrew, you were both in the same industry, and it feels like everyone and their mom is talking about real estate and wholesaling and this and that. Yeah. But that's just because what we listen to. In the grand scheme of things, there's still so much opportunity. We're still growing after 4 years, and I'm so excited for the direction that we're headed.
I love what you just said. Your engineer brain talking about the everything is going to a state of chaos, right? I hope y'all listen to that. I hope you got a pen and pencil and taking notes this whole time. But that's the best way I've ever heard it put. That because people are like, well, hey, because we teach people, we coach people how to do exactly what we do in our local market and around the country, anywhere. And people will say, well, aren't you afraid that they're going to take your deals? Absolutely not. Because what happens is, like you said, we just did 2 houses that caught on fire, right? Like, you can't predict the chaos that's coming, but it is continually coming. Houses are continually being ruined by nature or tenants or whatever it is, but also the properties are continuing to just be outdated. 10 years ago, a house that was flipped 10 years ago, it is prime. It was beautiful. It's sold at the top of the market. Now is a deal for us because it's out of date, so
right.
It just continually, that gold is continually piped into the mountain. And so and you're the same way, right? Share the love, share and help people get in this business, because you made another good point where we tell our students to talk to your friends and family, tell them about, don't be shy, don't be bashful. Some of them will tell you you're stupid, but tell them you want to buy real estate. Most of the people, if you go to Thanksgiving dinner and you say that, most of the people at the table are going to say you're crazy or, oh, that's neat. But they're not going to be in it.
Right.
You're going to be one of 10, 20 people talking real estate. That's what it is in the world. We are all in the game and we think everyone's in it, but we're
such a small little niche of people who knows what's going on.
Very small piece of what's happening out there. So there's so much available. And we can't get it all, right? So, that's why we have the club. That's why we teach people, coach people exactly what has got us here. Starting with what you started with is what is in my neighborhood, what is within reach, what can I do today to build a nest egg or an investment portfolio, a bucket of money that then I can build a business. So like you, in 4 years, you've got an acquisitions manager or a team, you've got the businesses rolling, rental houses and flips. That's how it starts, is that first deal.
Yes. Because one turns into another one, and then you start to meet other people, and you start attracting other people who are interested in that sort of thing. And what happens is they can introduce you to other people, or they can throw deals your way, or you could maybe sell them something. The first one is the hardest one, only because there's a lot of unknowns, right? You feel like, well, that works for Jarrod and that works for Andrew because they're already doing it. I don't know about me, but I was that way too. I had no clue what I was doing. I felt like such an imposter. Like, I knew it was going to happen. I burnt the bridges. I already spent the money. I'm going to get a real estate deal somehow or another. I knew it was going to happen, but I felt like such an imposter. I never bought any house, and here I am talking about buying a house cash. I didn't have any money. But what the absolute truth is if you find a good deal, the money will appear out of thin air. Mm-hmm. Someone else will want to buy it. You could sell it to them, or there's what's called hard money lenders, people who will loan you money based on the house itself. Has nothing to do with your own cash, your own credit, your own story. That doesn't matter. Truly, if you can find a good deal, the money will appear out of thin air.
Yes.
I do it every month. Andrew, I know you do it multiple times every month. It really does happen. And it gets exciting, especially at some point, which I really enjoy. Now I keep properties. Yeah. And because of how fast it supercharges your wealth. I bought 2 houses in the same neighborhood across the street from each other. There was a doctor. He owned them since the 80s. And he said, Jarrod, here is what I'm going to get for them. I am not going to list them. I do not want realtors. I know what I'm going to get. If you can give it, great. And he wanted, the pair together was worth $440,000. Mm-hmm. He wanted $250,000. And I'm like, oh, that's the deal for sure. Sure. He's like, I know they need work. I know I'm going to sell it at a discount, but I bought them so long ago, I already made my money.
Oh, yeah.
And so I know I have to leave some money for you. I bought those and they needed, I think I put $10K total across both. They didn't need much.
Wow.
They really didn't need much. Bought them for $250,000, refinanced and I know it's a little bit advanced, but basically just got a loan for both of them. I was able to pull out $70,000. Wow. From the pair of these houses. And I bought my dream car, a 22 Mach 1 Mustang, cash.
Ooh, nice.
Which I just due to my background, I really like cars. And so that was kind of a checkpoint that I always wanted to hit and had no clue how anyone could ever do it. And that was tax-free money. I know it's kind of a little bit advanced thing, but here's what's possible if you, and by no means am I at the top. I'm just still on my way. But here's what's so possible if you just start with finding a discounted house. That's really what it takes. And then you get good at finding them. Then you find more, and then you've got some money saved up. Well, how about I buy one and keep it? And then you start renting them, and then banks will start wanting to talk to you and throwing more money your way. And then you find more deals, and it just grows and builds into this thing. Even in a market like now where interest rates are high and prices are fluctuating, there's 100 different ways to buy a house. Yep. So I'm just excited for this industry and what it's provided. And I'm just incredibly grateful. And I couldn't do it alone. It was talking to people near me, even people who hated on my family thought I was nuts. Yep. Jarrod, you have an engineering degree. Go use it. You're going to get a great job. Yeah. Uh-huh. Well, I didn't want a great job. I wanted to do what I wanted to do.
You wanted some freedom. And mm-hmm. It's the real estate. Just, yes, more millionaires are made through real estate. But it's not about being a millionaire, right? It's about the freedom and being able to choose what you do and mm-hmm. being able to buy that car that you want if you want, right? Like for me, with 3 kids, buying a Mustang would be stupid. But it's what you want to do. You have the freedom to do whatever that is.
I'm not married yet. So
we're all in different parts of life, and that's what I love about it, that real estate, it doesn't matter where you are, where you're starting. If you get in, take massive action, and get part of a community that can help answer these questions for you, you can just accelerate your wealth, accelerate the life that you want to live, create that freedom, and build a business, right? You've built a business out of it in 4 years. Mm-hmm. We actually started wholesaling 2018, 2019 at the same time. So we're really, that business is real similar to yours. Wow. And it's just been phenomenal. And all the people, not to mention the people you get to help, those folks like that doctor, this is what he wanted, and you made him happy, right? And that happens every time we buy a house. We can't buy one unless they're happy. It's really hard to twist somebody's arm hard enough to get them to go sign a deed unless they're happy, right? So we're making dreams come true all across the board there. So we're running out of time here, but this has been great, Jarrod. Your story's phenomenal. I love where you are now, what you've done in your community. What would you give? What kind of advice? What would you say to that person that's just trying to get started? They are listening to this podcast. They've listened to 3 or 4. They subscribe to the YouTube channel, and they just need that push. What do you say?
Do what I did. Continue to listen to stuff and help get your mind right. Mm-hmm. But then motion. Do something to help get your body in motion to start whatever that process. So go walk down your street and look for the worst one. Write that address down if that's what it takes, to make it that small. And I really like looking locally for beat up houses, but I think that's the easiest first step is just find one. And if you can find one, you can find 10 houses that need some love. I'm talking simple stuff like the peeling paint or the gutters falling off or there's overgrown grass, newspapers in the yard, junk vehicles, the siding's falling off, roof is busted up, windows busted, boarded. Just simple things like that, and write them down.
Yeah,
And then
and then go mail them, right? Go contact the owners
or
and
knock on
see
the
if they,
door.
yeah, why not? So
And if even
y'all,
that's too scary, then get someone to go with you and knock
yes,
on the door. You have someone to just standing with you there. But I think that's such a simple thing. And then even if the conversation goes bad, but at least you made a step, and you're running circles around the people sitting on the couch doing nothing. And then what happens is one step turns into the next step. These little baby steps, these small wins lead to a big victory of you finally completed a deal. And then once you complete the first deal, your brain says, yeah, you know what you're doing. You can do it again. And then you're off to the races.
oh yeah, that's it right there. And so, guys, if you are in that place and you need to take that step, you put it. This is exactly what I say: is you are way ahead of people sitting on the couch watching some crazy Netflix, binge or whatever, because you're actually listening to this podcast or showing up at one of our events, right? So if you're part of the Deal Finders community, you're way ahead. But the next step is to take action. So you've got to move off of that spot and get to taking action so you can get into the business and see what happens next. So if that next step for you is joining a community like ours, go to that website I gave you earlier. It's dealfindersclub.com. We've got some resources there. You can connect with us there, see where our live events are. But also, if you want to join, there's an application there. So if you're a good fit, we would bring you in and walk with you through this. So whatever that is, y'all, make sure you just subscribe to our YouTube, subscribe to the podcast, keep listening, and build up that confidence so that you can take that step. I know it's a scary step, but you've got to take action and get out there and do that. So if you're ready to join a community, send the application in. If not, find a community local to you that you can go to, be in the business, be around people. And until you do that, continue to listen to the podcast here, and we'll see you on the next one. Bye.